Hello to all and welcome once again with this series of conversation that we have here in She100 Global Networking. In She100, our mission is to mark the difference. It's beyond what is women empower. We mark the difference because we work different. It's not about help others. It's about helping ourselves and gain power to influence others. It's not to be founded, financing by others. It's to be founded by ourselves, reassuring our commitment to be part of the civil society and give to others that power as well. It's not about competition. It's about survival. It's about civil society that speaks by their own. A spoken word, a poetry that we wanted to print today with that gathering around the power coming from individual responsibility, taking responsibility for whom mental self-care is key. You cannot change what is outside, but you can change yourself, the perception you hold for what is happening inside. Build women with senses of solidarity by creating the changes by their own. The power of networking, as today, as this event from Global Networking, is based on that, on solidarity, on exchange. Being your own off-grid element that delivers energy. And you know what means that energy? It's simply peace, global peace, global harmony. Is the power of now, not awaiting for outside changes. And of course, I not even will let you await more, and I will introduce you to my lovely, dear, and phenomenal women that are Pinching Motevi from UK, She100 London Chair of Openness and Wisdom, founder of Authentic Mindset, and a certified coach. Don't miss out because it will be 10 minutes, not to miss. Anita Caprice, our dear author of the book You, Your Own Universe. She is the real expert on what is mental self-care, and you will learn from her. Leader of the movement Tap Into You, and a high-level member of She100. Shira Shetty from India, National Chair of She100 Global Networking India, founder of Elite Women, and she is a real elite woman, a coach on youth empowerment, powerhouse motivator, human capital investor. And Bina Unikrishnan from India, global chair of She100 Arts and Leadership, an artist, above all, an artist, and a CEO of Iris Green Films. We are going to start with Bina, that is our guest of honor today. We are excited, happy, and extremely grateful that you came today to shine with your light, with your learnings, with your combination of arts and leadership, with that soul that you have, a golden soul that is shaped on what is the art. Vina, the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Very good evening, and thank you, Ma, for inviting me for this. And as an artist, it's a very favorite subject of mine, which is mental health. And I think I've done my fellowship on the cognitive development and Natya Shastra, that is basically different forms of art and how it can improve a person's brain health. So that was it's a basically very beautiful, interesting subject for me, which I've done, I think, 6-7 years back, and I really feel that I should continue work on that because it my main interest was in treatment of not treatment prevention of dementia, which is one of the or Alzheimer's, which is one of the major worrying fact when it comes to as a disease as such. But I always believe that is more only 20% of people will get the memory loss or dementia, which you call, because of the physical issues. It is more of our lifestyle and mental issues that is what accumulating together, and at later stages we end up in reaching such a situation. Like before, because of the lifestyle today, which is more of sitting and less of social interactions, more on computers, all these things will stop your uh, health in with regards to your cranial nerves, and that in turn will help make you reach in such a situation of dementia, memory loss, and such issues. And I feel art can play a great role in preventing it, as a preventive matter on that, because art, if you practice something on 21 days, 40 days regularly, there is actually develops new neuron pathways. So something which you have forgotten in your life can be redeveloped if you practice certain on a creative level. So it's a very important form. It's not just for an artist. Being a creative person is such a very important thing to uh, make you happy, make you generate a lot of stress releasing hormones that makes you feel happy and healthy, mentally healthy. During COVID time, that is, I think that's one of the important learnings which we all had. uh, During COVID times, people have gone back to the creative part of it, because that was the only, I think that was the industry which was strongly supporting such an era as such, because everybody was depressed as they couldn't go out, all their activities has been completely stopped. And that is time, I think people have started realizing how art can be an important portion, where we feel that it can increase your mood levels, make you keep you happy. Listening to a song, seeing a music, seeing a dance form, all these things, when you see itself as a viewer itself, you make it makes you feel happy and relaxed. Then that means there is some reactions which is happening behind your brain, which we don't know. So if we try to really give importance to this art, creative thinking in our regular activities itself, it actually uh, it is, as your subject says, self care. That can be a major portion of self care, because sometimes mental health is something which I think, and if you see the statistics in US and other countries, people, the main research, the money which they use is for the research on mental health, or the medicines which is used for dementia or Alzheimer's, or the caregivers as such. Because it is not only the patient who is going through, the caregivers go through a tremendous mental stress during this time. And you really don't know whom you are, and you can just imagine a world without knowing whom you are and what is your name and what you were doing. So before reaching out to that particular area of life, I think one of the best practices which you can have and do it along with your life is something to do with art. It can be singing, it can be writing. Sometimes we feel we cannot express our words, our feelings in words, because even to express, not as, I'm not talking about writing poems or stories, even to express what you really feel, you cannot, but you can express it in a lot of creative notes, whether it can be singing or painting. And an artist, I feel, I can express my emotions much in colors than even in words. So I believe that art is one of the major therapy which is used now in the field of mental health. And this is, when you really practice, you really don't need somebody to practice along with you, means teach you, or somebody, you don't need an assistance. You can invite that creativity as part of your life, and that will be able to help you in your difficult times. And mental health is something which I feel, which you should know how to balance it. or you should know what can help you balancing it. If you are able to practice that when you are perfectly fine, that will help you in your difficult times. And not only you, when you are happy, you make the people around you also happy. That is what I feel about mental health. And more than our physical health, it's equally important area when it comes to stress. And today the world is basically of our lifestyle, our technology, we are basically going through a lot of stress areas. So I think this is one of the easiest method which somebody can practice to avoid it. So for me, art plays an important factor in the area of mental health care, and this is a subject as such. I think Amar, we should have a separate talk on this. I'm here only to talk on 5 minutes, but we should have a separate session where we should divide into different forms what music can help, how painting can help, how art can help. The moment you see pink color, you feel very emotional. Why pink give happiness? That means that particular energy, that particular color radiates some energy which makes your brain happy. So we really need to get into that space. I think we need to have a different session to know more deeper how color, how dance movements, how poems, how listening to stories, all these things can make, and what difference it can make to your brain health. So we should really do it. And thank you so much, Mar, for giving me so much of time to have put in my thought process. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to you
Thank
for being here today. As I told you, it would be amazing. You don't need much time to transmit a very, very deep message. What means boost creativity to prevent mental disease. Making of art more than a therapy, but a driver to health. And the colors. The colors is also something that we have Anita here that is
Yeah,
she's
yeah. There's wonderful colors behind her.
so please, Anita, if you could, if I'm sure you have comments to make about that, all the colors. That is
That's
something.
why suddenly I thought of pink colors because of seeing Anita's background.
Yeah. I change it according to what you say. I really, for me, it's fascinating to see to see the colors and see the impact that we have on us.
Yeah,
So I love the idea to have a different session on that, specifically a
yeah.
session on
We can have a
Anita.
separate conversation on that.
Absolutely, Anita.
Thank you so much, Mar. I'm leaving because I told you I have a dinner to attend. Thank you so much, and I'll surely watch this program. And you will be having the link. I'll surely watch it. Thank you so
Thank
much. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Vida, and see you in the next session about colors.
Sure, we'll do that. Thank you.
See you. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Bye.
Anita, the colors. Before we go to patient colors,
Yeah.
what impact would we have the colors? The colors that we are dressing. What impact do we have?
Oh,
Anita,
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Hi. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mar. Hi, everybody. Color, everything is energy, and there's only one energy. So that means that, and everything has vibration because within energy, you have vibration, frequency, and velocity. Velocity. So you have the frequency and the measure, the vibration. Everything has vibration. So, when Vina was saying the color pink, pink is the color of love. That's why it uplifts us. You know what I mean? Purple is that color of where we feel empowered and royal and even protected. And red, as you have on Mar, red is the color also of protection. It's also of desire. It's of desire. It's a foundation because it's connected with our base chakra and our soul body. That's the color of red. Green is the color of prosperity, what patience has on, and not just financial prosperity, but prosperity in every single area of our life, including mental health, self care. And then we have yeah, Shreya. I see she has like pink and green and purple and things. So today she has an array of beautiful emotions going on with her. And in the back, even brown. brown. That's why brown, they say when you own land, you're rich, because brown is the color of the earth. Brown is the color of substance. It's the color of helping, of the manifestation. So there's so with all and even blue and colors can mean something different too. Because like black is the color of mystical. It's not necessarily down and out or anything, but it's mystical, being arriving into some mystical state. And then there was that other was another gold. Gold is masculine, and then it also has the energy of feminine and masculine. Silver is feminine energy. Gold is masculine energy. So it has a whole plethora, of like blue. Blue is the color of peace, but it's also the color of sadness. So it depends on the vibration, where we are. I love colors and vibration. Well, you guys know that. That's my thing.
Thank you, Anita. It's absolutely fascinating, and we will leave all that for next session, next month, because it's worth it to have a session on that. No, I think we have loosened this magic, the magic of looking at nature and see how they could be profitable. We could get benefits directly from it, And so now we're going directly with patient. If Shira, do you want to say anything, something, or we can go directly to patient? Shira?
Yeah, of course. It's fascinating what Dr. Anita just shared about the colors, and I think it's lovely, to see Mar always wearing the color of empowerment, the color of liberation. And yes, of course, it's an interesting, the way we see everything around us in terms of energy and vibrations, and especially coming to, I think, this space wherein month on month we have been taking up topic of mental self-care and so many facets, attached to it. I think for me, mental wellness is all about, the courage to love yourself the way you are. So more of coming from the end of accepting yourself, and more in terms of, so when we talk about self-care, I think for women especially, it should go beyond vanity. And that is where I think true self-love can be, something which can add value to our, any aspect of life, right from your diet, the way you look, maybe your spiritual journey. And that is where I think meditation as a form of self-care and self-love is something that which truly helps you align within yourself, because this is something like, Bina also shared a while ago, that how art, if incorporated into the lifestyle, same way, the amalgamation of colors, can help. Similarly, I feel that, whatever sails your boat, for some it might be, working on balancing the chakras. For some it might be meditation. So for me personally, I feel that anything to do with, which liberates you, which helps you to accept yourself as you are, I think that is what a very important step towards self-care and self-love. So on that's what my understanding and belief has been around this topic.
Thank you, Shira. Patient, please. Let's go ahead.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to say in terms of Bina's sharing as well is that when we are talking about mental self-care, we don't think about the whole spectrum of the people who need the mental self-care. And the fact of using art is really good, because you have people who unfortunately cannot communicate in the way that we are communicating right now, and might need other ways to be able to release, any anxiety, any depression, or anything that they're feeling where they're not all right. So I think art is amazing, which I was just saying. So just on that subject is amazing. On the colors, I couldn't even say anything else than what Dr. Anita shared, because it was really, really amazing. And I love the way you spoke so swiftly about all the colors, you were like, oh, red, oh, this color, this color. I was like, yes. I chose the color purple even for my own business because of the things you just said. So yeah, anyway, that was really good. I really liked Bina's presentation.
Please, if you share your presentation and we start with you.
Yes. Let me go into present mode. All right. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I wanted to talk about developing a positive mindset. I think this is really important for me, especially in the work that I'm doing with my clients. But in terms of generally, I think it's something that when people are creating this habit in their life, it just help them mental self-care. So I'm just going to share a little bit about that. Here's just a quick quote to say that being what most people think is realistic is only a way of justifying negative thinking. Go for something great. Basically, what Shreya was just saying earlier, just go with what rocks your boat and just be your unique self. Okay, so here's about me. I'm a life coach, already presented by Ma. I'm just going to go into the presentation, a little preview. So I'm quickly going to talk on, so we're talking about the mental health, but I just wanted to share how positive mindset could benefit on your physical health, the mental health, obviously, your relationships, your career. I'm going to talk a little bit about the characteristic and traits of positive mindset and also what you can do to nourish this positive mindset culture. All right. So what does it mean to have a positive mindset? Positive mindset doesn't mean that you have to be positive all the time and be like, yes to everything. Well, what it means is that the approach that you are taking is an approach that is going to bring, a little bit more of this positive aspect in your life and make you look at things in a different way. So it's changing the way we think so that we have more of a positive outcome for ourselves, really, and for others. So in the positive mindset, we've got different focus. So we've got the past focus, where it's thinking about, we're reminiscing, we're thinking about these moments that we had before, things like that. We express gratitude. And then we have the present focus. So the present focus is about really reframing things that are happening right now, but in a way that is more positive, who has a more positive lives. And then we have the future focus, which is more about the things that we expect, the things that we wish to have, that could bring more positivity and optimism into our lives. Okay, so there's also two different aspects. There's the self-focus, which is basically about positive self-esteem, self-love, and self-confidence. But there's also the other focus, where we're creating empathy, where it's much more about community and really giving trust and having kind of a sharing back and forth that is going to be more positive for yourself and for others as well. Okay, so the benefit on physical health, they're more around, like, obviously increased lifespan. And this is research. So all of this is coming from research. The optimists live longer. There's a greater resistance to even common colds, better psychological and physical well-being. Optimists have a better immune system. There's quite a few things that happen when you bring this positive mindset into your life on the physical side. On the mental benefit on the mental health are that you feel less worry, you feel less anxious, there's lower depressive symptom, you feel more connected and happier to be in your community, to be around people. There's much more of a social life, and you have better stress coping mechanism. In terms of benefit on relationships, like I was saying before, there's a better social life, but there's much more of an empathetic approach. You can understand a little bit more of what's happening in certain situation, and there is much more of a way of being open to other people and to what's happening elsewhere. In terms of the benefit on your career, you will feel more committed and more creative. We just talked about creativity, but more creative. You feel more satisfied and you perform better. All in all, what we want is feeling less stressed and less anxious. So what does a positive mindset look like? So it's really good to talk about positive mindset, but what does it look like? It's simple. It comes with optimism. Optimism is, again, not the idea of just seeing everything as a yes, 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 and everything is fine, but it's accepting that instead of assuming your effort won't pay off or anything like that, you have this willingness to make an effort and to say, you know what, I'm still going to go for it and I'll see what will happen. There's acceptance as well. Acceptance in understanding where we are, where we've been through, and things that can happen along the way. So often things won't go towards what someone is looking for, but the idea is not to stay on that. The idea is to accept that this was an experience and I'm gonna bounce from it. And we come into resilience. Resilience is bouncing back from adversity. So disappointment, things that didn't go well, or maybe failures. But instead of giving up, is keep going on and keep going on. Then there's gratitude. Gratitude is one of my favorite things. I'm going to be honest with you, that I practice every day, but it's really understanding that there's good in everything. The little thing, the bigger things, there's good everywhere. And we can find gratitude in so many simple things, but that gratitude can help us to bring more kindness to ourselves and also more love to ourselves. There's also consciousness. So consciousness into making sure that you are focused into a certain area of your life and you have this ability of being aware of what is happening around you. And integrity, so being righteous, straightforward. So few things that you can do in general to keep this on a daily basis. So first of all, that you are the only person who's in control, and you determine your reality. I will also advise to start your day strong. The way we start the day strong is either if you are into affirmation, using affirmation, if you are into listening to music, if you are into practicing yoga or something that is going to help you to really start the day in a positive mindset. Then third thing, going into exercise. Exercise is the natural feel-good drugs. So you don't really have to go, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to go and do this. You don't have to do big things. You could start really small and you can bring this, upgrade this in your life every single day. Then another thing that I do a lot is use books, audio, videos. I'm addicted to Audible. Audible, I love books. I'm always with books and videos. I think it's really good when you want to learn more about other people or the other culture. It brings more of this positivity into your life. Another thing is to shape your thought with your language. So the language we use is really critical in terms of developing a positive mindset. And it's really important to know exactly the language that you're using so that you can change and shift your mindset into a positive mindset. Also, I would say it's really important to hang out with positive people. You will never be able to not have this negative person or this negative situation that is going to happen. However, on a general side, being around positive people is going to also elevate your thoughts, is going to elevate your feelings and the way your vibe. Showing appreciation to others is another thing in terms of like, and this brings back to the gratitude and how you're supposed to bring this gratitude into your life day in, day out. Okay, here I put garbage in, garbage out. And what I mean by that is that when the negative thought comes in, they need to go out. So the idea that they should not stay. Two thoughts cannot stay here at the same time. So if you have a negative thought here, the idea is to try and shift it by bringing another positive thought, and that thought can stay in your mind. Okay, so stop negative thoughts in their tracks and live with gratitude, which is what I said before. So this is what I would say, for me, is the way to also care for your mental health. So I just want to finish on this quote. In every day there are 1,440 minutes, and that means that we have 1,440 daily opportunity to make a positive impact to our lives and to others as well. So this is a Les Brown quote, and I'm going to finish my presentation here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beijing, for this wonderful, amazing, and you landed. We started as an aspiration. Now, what may be art, the impact of the colors, and we go directly to what are tools, how we do it. Now, how in a chaotic world that we live, full of negativity, just to look at the news. It's 90% negativity. There are no news for the positive. There are news only for the negative, and even that we are sending a message of hope and reality. It's just not a matter of faith. It's a matter of practical tools, and that's what exactly the aim. That's why we are so grateful with these wonderful ideas, patient, that you are delivering to the people. As in, just to take some part of what you have said, present focused is very important. That to be present. These worries about the future, that this after pandemics, specifically, this worry about the future is a steady concern from the people. Nourish a positive mindset. How we nourish a positive mindset when you have tangible problems, and you say, well, first of all, it's about less anxious. And I love that, because it's not that to say romantically, erase your anxious, you don't have more problems. You say it's like less anxious. So we reduce expectation with ourselves. And we do that, we really could start being ambitious. When we reduce this kind of utopical expectation. Acceptance. I think this is something that not only you do it from the coaching, also in religious aspect. It works that gratitude and acceptance are the two principles that in all religions are there, and hang out with positive people. So we are we are the model to follow. That's what we do all the time. So thank you so much. Questions to patient, comments about patient. If not, we go directly to Shira, and then we end with our adorable Anita. Shira, Anita.
I just want to say that was a wonderful presentation. And I don't know that. Let's see. Okay. Now let me see. Okay.
Mar, you are on the mute.
Shira, please.
Yes. Patience, first of all, that was a lovely presentation that you made. And I think, yes, talking about positive mindset, and especially when we talk about mental health for women, I think she has beautifully touched upon all the aspects of, mental health, and more so important, striking that balance of, having a positive mindset doesn't mean that, you have to accept things the way they are. Yes, it all starts with acceptance, but also the willingness to challenge the status quo. And I think that is where we all need to strike that balance, of having that positive mindset, nurturing it all the time. Because obviously, as human beings, and especially for women, when I work with women from different walks of life, and also as a human behavioral specialist working with corporate women, with entrepreneurs, and so also homemakers, we often observe that women play different roles, and more so they are naturally known to be multitaskers. So it's quite prominent that at times they tend to give more than they what they have. And I read this somewhere earlier in the day, that you cannot be pouring in from a empty cup. So that is where I think I feel important. You can help others, you can pass on that empowerment to others only when you feel empowered enough to do that. And that is where I think striking that balance of having a mindset and taking action to improve things, be it on your mental health side, be it for your physical health. It's very important for every woman to strike that balance. And also, talking about, I often talk about my observation of women being superwomans. We often set the expectation bar so high for ourselves that we end up calling or putting ourselves categorically into that superwoman syndrome, because we do so at times, stretch ourselves, going that extra mile, doing it for others. But when it comes to your own I think well-being, somewhere that takes a back seat. And thanks to forums like this, where we have created spaces where we exchange so many things, topics around women's wellness. I think it's important that every woman embraces the changes, and also takes care of her own health as a priority. So whether it is about dance as a therapy, art as a therapy, meditation, nature walks, whatever works well. I think at the end of the day, you can serve others better only when you are empowered enough. So that is what mental health for me, is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Jera.
Okay. I'm
Anita,
oh,
it's okay now?
I'm hearing. Yep. But
Okay, go ahead.
okay. Let me see. Can you okay, and Shreya, can you mute yourself? Let me see. Okay, now it's good. Can you guys hear me? Oh, okay, wonderful. Okay, that's when sisters get together, it's gonna work itself out. That's thank you. I just want to say thank you, Mar, again for inviting me on this platform. Sisters, it's so wonderful to be and share this platform with you, beautiful sisters. Davina with the cultural arts, self-care, and then I love that patience. I thought of when you the mindset, how a mindset is not or positivity or optimism is not always being positive. It's it's about knowing that we have the courage to face obstacles and challenges. That's another part of of that mindset. And then Sharia cannot be pouring in from an empty cup. That was powerful, sister. Absolutely. Well, I and thank you all. I just wanted to come in and just share, and I took some notes here. What I believe mental self care is, and as a metaphysical mentor, an author of You, Your Own Universe, and even as a poet, all of my writings deal with the oneness because as I stated earlier, there's one energy, and that energy is within everything. So for me, in order to take care of our mental self, we have got to combine that with our physical body. There is no the separation. So I just have some things, and there's some engagement, if you will, if you would oblige me. The first thing I want to share as far as mental self care is connecting with our vagus nerve. So if you guys can take a moment with me, just for a moment, breathe in and breathe out, just slowly, just for a second. We're just breathing in and breathing out. Do you know every time we breathe in, when we breathe in, our vagal tone is sending a message from our lungs to our brain because it's all connected. And when we exhale, our brain in turn, after it has interpreted that breath, that tone from our vagus nerve, it comes back into through our lungs to that vagal tone, and that determines, that message is sent whether we are breathing relaxing or whether we are having stress. So the vagus nerve is considered the supreme leader of the parasympathetic nervous system. We have the parasympathetic, we have the autonomic, the synamic. The autonomic is that involuntary, and the parasympathetic is the relaxation, rest, and digest. And it is the vagal nerve. It is just so important in having that that state of mind, that, and not just a positive state of mind, but that state of mind of competence, that state of mind of being aware of who what we're able to do, and also keeping that that sympathetic, that flight, freeze, faint, fight, keeping that particular energy, keeping it at bay. So mental health care, it is very important to activate and stimulate that vagus nerve. And I started with the vagus nerve first because the things that I'm going to be sharing are just simple ways to activate this vagus nerve. One of the things that I'm going to check, one of the things is mental self-care is also embracing the the reality that we are responsible. Now, I understand that can be a bitter pill to swallow at first, that we're responsible for our sphere of influence. However, once we recognize that yes, there is some things that are undone within us. There we are an unfinished work. Of course we're unfinished. If we're finished, we would be, in another stratosphere. We wouldn't be in this earth plane, because this earth is about learning lessons. So that's what, so we're here, and just recognizing that we have shadow thoughts. I know I have them, and also sometimes embracing those shadow thoughts. Embrace it, that, okay, yeah, I'm doing some stinking thinking now, because the more we embrace those shadow thoughts, the less they are being suppressed, and the less and the more we are acknowledging the totality of who we are, and that's mental self-care holistically, WHOLE and HOLIST, holistic health care. Volunteering, of late, things that are occurring in my life right now, I've been reminded again that mental self-care also can be volunteering or doing something for someone else, not necessarily what I do as a metaphysical mentor, as a poet, or as an advocate in rare disease, or claimant advocate, or even serving with G100, doing something totally different for someone. That increases mental self-care because we are connected. It's one energy. So when we are elevating, helping someone else to elevate, then what we're doing is elevating our own. I have a stanza in one of my poems: when we help someone reach the peak of their dream, that's when we reach the pinnacle of our own. because it is one energy. It is only one energy. So that is mental self-care. How good are you going to feel when you know what you've done for someone and they share with you how it has helped them? When you see their smile, when you see the love in their eyes, that is mental self-care. Singing, singing, that's a way to activate that vagus nerve. And if you guys can just oblige me here. In the morning, sometimes I wake up to the tune of the mulberry bush. Here we go round the mulberry bush, the mulberry bush. That is a children's song, and that singing that song in the morning, what it does, we're connecting to that child in us because that's mental self-care too. We've got to connect with the holistic part of us. So what and singing that song, it's also a song affirmation. So it goes like, here we go round the mulberry bush, you're familiar with the Patience? That song, you too, Mark. Okay, so then yeah, and then what I do, I used to do with meditation when we were coming out of the meditation, or after when we're done with the meditation. Instead of here we go around the mulberry bush, and you guys do this with me. It's like it's going to be it's going to be a marvelous day, a marvelous day, a marvelous day. It's going to be a marvelous day. It is a marvelous Monday. So go, let's do this. So can y'all sing that with me? And see, that's another thing. Laughter. Laughter is so good for mental self-care. And do you know there's also there's therapy. And I didn't know that. I just come to learn that there is such a thing as laughter therapy. Laughter releases pain and distress, and it actually reduces our stress hormones while it increases our immune cells, and that improves our resistance to disease. And what we're doing is we're activating that thymus, getting into that thymus, because according to John Diamond, your body doesn't lie. Our thymus is the seat of life energy, and that thymus is the first organ that is affected by stress. And when we do this, and I used to share with my grandkids and stuff, and even I do. I said, tap that thymus gland, because what it does, it's releasing those white cells within our body, and it's that connection, mind and body. So instead, I've replaced warrior cell with empowered cells. So when we're tapping right on in here, right in that crevice here, you tap on that, you're releasing all those beautiful empowered cells, and you're also raising the vibration within your intrinsic vibration. And we know that if we're raising intrinsic vibration, what's going to happen? Extrinsically, that vibration is going to be raised. That mental self-care, if I'm looking at a higher vibration sphere of influence, that's going to bring me peace. I love that when Sharia and Patience was saying acknowledging self. Yeah, acknowledging who we are, all of us, just acknowledging all of that. When we also gratitude. I know Patience had mentioned gratitude. I had did this experiment one time, or activity, and it was saying, I am grateful 30 times a day. Now, when we do this, what we're doing is actually also increasing strength in our discipline. When we have discipline, then we are empowered. When we are empowered, then we have self-confidence. When we have self-confidence, then we are content with who we are. So again, maintaining mental health care, or having more so taking care of our mental health, it so includes our physical body. We have got to bring in that physical body. We've got to touch it. We've got to hug it. We've got to love it, because without doing that, it's like taking a vitamin that can cure you cure any type of disease, you break it in half and you only take half of it, it's not going to work because you didn't bring in the other one. So we've got to, it's very important. It's very, mental self-care. It's very important that we recognize, and I say this all the time, that we recognize that within our perfection, there's that perfection. The more we balance that perfection within, or acknowledging that perfection within us, the more we're going to embrace that imperfection. That's mental self-care. That's self-love, as Shreya said, as Patience said. That's self-love. We are loving every single part about us. I was just looking in the mirror lately. I mean, I just got this, I gained weight around my stomach area because I know I'm holding on. My sacral chakra is totally out of kilter because I'm holding on to emotions because I'm in an emotional situation right now. So I understand that. That's another thing about mental self-care. Seeing what's going on and being able to acknowledge that. Mental self-care is also embracing, acknowledging that, yeah, I am connected with energy. I'm a co-creator with this energy. It's the energy that surrounds me is the energy that the energy that surrounds me was created by the energy within me. That's mental. Not only is that mental self-care, that's awareness. That's that's enlightenment. That's self-recovery. That is understanding that as long as I know that I am connected with nature, as long as I know that I am connected with my brother and my sister, as long as I know that I am co-creator, as long as I know that, yes, I have thinking in me, as long as I recognize and know that, yeah, there may be some parts in me that I want to change, as long as we recognize all of that, therein lies the balance. Therein lies mental self-care, because therein lies the mental. There is no difference between mental and physical, soulful, because all three of those are intertwined. Even the little girl, the soul, the mind, and the body. The spirit is so undetached. Spirit is not connected with all of this, but those other components are. And for me, self-care, and I'll speak, yeah, because my 10 minutes are coming up, I see it. So for me, self-care is recognizing absolutely every single essence, being, destructive negative, positive negative, positivity within us, and just simply embracing it and say, hey, it is what it is, and I'm working on things that I can work on, and those that I can't. I've just been looking at, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things that I can, and Lord have mercy, give me the wisdom to know the difference. That ultimately is self-care, mental self-care. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anita. It's always impressive and adorable to listen to you. There, always, because you speak about your book, you, that is over there behind you, is there your book, this wonderful book that I highly recommend it, and you always add something new to surprise us. Shira, Patient comments in relation to Anita, and then unfortunately we came to a close.
Yeah. I just loved everything that Dr. Anita said. I'm really biased here. I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna say it out there. But one, a lot of things struck out to me, and I really love the way you said, like in the morning when you wake up, and having this habit. I think people believe that mental self-care is about maybe taking some medicine or going to seeing a counselor or psychotherapist or someone to help them. But actually it starts within, like you were saying. You have to start by the little steps that you're doing in yourself to create this ecosystem for you. So I really loved your what you said when you talked about the community, the way that we are in service to others. We also in service to ourselves. Also, the fact of the laughter therapy. I did a little bit of laughter yoga one time. It was nice. So I think all of those kind of things is things that we can put in place in our life every day. So thank you so much for your sharing.
You are so very welcome. Thank you, Patience. And I do, with and I so agree with the small steps and everything. And I do agree, I believe in uh, therapeutic measures. I believe in traditional, allopathic, holistic, naturopathic, and herbal. I believe in all of those complementary alternative to therapies. So I believe in all of those different type of treatment modalities, and that every single last one of them can help us. So I agree with you, Patience. Thank you.
Shira, please.
I think it's always, I really look forward to the learnings and sister sharing from Anita. It's always something new to learn from, and it was a lovely presentation. I think right from the process of breathing in to breathing out, which we normally practice, as a part of meditation process also. But doing it, simply following the process. I think trusting the journey is something which we all learn eventually, and that is where I think when we talk about various practices of mental health, when we talk about various therapies, or it could be as small as starting your day with like a beautiful song or a rhyme. By the way, that was a lovely rhyme, which I really loved. The mulberry bush. So it could be something which you really enjoy doing, and making it a part of your daily morning rituals, which will really help you develop that positive mindset, consciously putting in efforts to see to it that, you have these various tools in your, tools and weapons to have your mental health being taken care of. It is not necessarily that seeking out a counselor or, doing something extra. But I think definitely, yes, as women, we all need to definitely work towards self-care and consciously put in that effort, rather than somebody else making it, telling us to work on it. I think it is every individual's responsibility, and whatever works for you, I think that is more important. It's not something like, you got a manual or a handbook around it as to how you need to take care of it. It's just that, forums and community platforms like this encourage talking about these topics, wherein we share what helps us, what works for us, and that might inspire somebody to take that towards, working towards mental health, especially for women when, when they hit a certain age, so many things bothering them. And that is where I think acceptance is the key towards, being aware that yes, this is who I am, and also at the same time taking that positive, action towards changing things which you do not want to accept. So there are, like, Dr. Anita beautifully has put it, that yes, one is having the courage to accept things, and also having the resilient mindset to change things that you do not want to accept. And that is where I think we all need to work towards, mental health and self-care. So I'm glad that I could be part of this forum and learn from all the wonderful ladies. So thank you very much.
There's no way for you not to be with us, Shira. In terms of what is coaching, what is mental perspective, what is solidarity, because this is also about solidarity. I don't know if you are aware, ladies, that in a society where everything came from organizations, for frameworks, from handbooks that tell you how you have to do it, when there are rules, when we demand all the time for changes, when we feel overwhelmed as if they are ruling our life, we are asking the people, inviting the people to take control of their own life without a code, without a handbook, just by their own. So we are challenging them. We are ambitious. Maybe we are daring, but we are printing with our marking the difference of what is She 100 and our principles. So thank you for that. We need to go now, unfortunately, but it doesn't matter which color you feel identified, psychologically identify what is your color. It's red, it's blue, it's green, it's white. It doesn't matter. What is the correct way is that you find your path and you fool with colors that identify you. So please 1 minute more and we close and we see you all next month in our colorful session about colors. Anita, 1 minute.
Okay, sure. Just want to say, my end statement, hey, we know that the journey and self-recovery is absolutely beautiful, and I hope you know, so are you. So what are we doing? We're just tapping into that trust that we're human and divine. And as you tap into you, I tap into me, we tap into we, because it is just one love, one energy, and we are all connected. Love you. So thankful and grateful for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mar, for creating this opportunity for us to come and be here with you. Sorry. I'm so, first of all, I'm so happy to be here and sharing my little bit of knowledge that I've got to help people. But also, I think that sometimes it's just one step. So the steps that we talked about today might not be the step where someone is at, but it's just taking that one step. So if you need the help, look for the help. If you need to talk, look for someone to talk to. If you need to share, just share. And then I've got my son. That is so.
Yes. So to conclude on, from my side, I would, express my deepest gratitude, and I'm thankful that, we have this wonderful global community G100 where, we all come together. We have these inspired learnings being shared. And I think that month on month, we have these topics where, it's all about how one can feel empowered, whether we talk about women empowerment, whether we talk about business, whether we talk about health, whether we talk about relationships. So it's such a beautiful, thing to share and learn from each other. And I really look forward to having many more such sessions. So thank you so much, Mar, for having us all together. And it was lovely as usual. Bye-bye.